All right, so it's 10:08, and I'm so glad that we're finally starting the Machen Day at our little stand with Numbers and Words and Impact Hub. A very close collaboration and a very loud one now. I think we're live, so we're recording and we're gonna screen it. So if you don't want to appear on stage, better take a consent with the photographer. And for those who are joining from elsewhere, we are at the Machen Festival in Leipzig. It's June 2023, for the record. And well, I mean, we met the whole week and you experienced Leipzig a little bit. Leipzig has 600,000 inhabitants. Monterrey, where you come from, Alfredo, my guest, has 6 million people. So it's a bigger market than Saxony, actually. And it's pretty much a drive away from the US as a market. But we invited you basically for two things. On one hand, the Machen Festival and Impact Hub Leipzig and Numbers and Words, we try to help through collaboration to develop a city infrastructure. And I heard that you did similar things in Monterrey with a lot of success. So we know Monterrey and Mexico from Narcos and movies like this, and it has destroyed your city in between, like city life. In Leipzig, we also had this situation, right? In the 90s, there was a lot of things that were changing. Things are still changing. Now it's settled down a little bit, but there are places that are lost in Leipzig and in other places around Leipzig. So for us, it's super interesting to hear how you went about that. And of course, there are some people in the room who are growing their companies, who are always thinking about exploring other markets. So hearing a bit about this is also interesting. And it's not the right time of the day, but Germans love to hear good stories about beer. So I think maybe you can tell us a little bit how your Impact Hub journey started. And then let's take it from there.
Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. And it has been my first time in Leipzig, and I can tell you that it won't be my last. I am expecting to return as soon as possible. Like, I love really the city and all of what Impact Hub Leipzig it is doing around. I think that we started the Impact Hub Monterrey as a reaction to the things that were happening in the city. Something that I like, a phrase that I copy from other organizations, is that many of these social ventures or social movements that happen are the antibodies of the bad things that are happening in the city. So as you mentioned, Impact Hub Monterrey started as a reaction to the city and to the drug cartel war that it was happening from 2006 to 2013. And that after that, it meant the abandoned old town. So we decided that with social innovation and with collaboration with society, NGOs, social, with the private sector and public sector, we could make a change in the way our city was reacting. And we started recovering lost places that were lost because of the drug cartels war. And so it was a reaction to be in the old town and to start Impact Hub in the old town in Monterrey.
So I was really impressed to hear that you chose not a fancy building inside this metropolis of Monterrey, but you went into the darkest place, which was actually the old town. And you told me that it reminded me what you told me of Leipzig, because we have been one of the 4 biggest cities in Germany. We were after Hamburg and Berlin, and just before Breslau in Wrocław, that's nowadays Poland. But then the city shrunk, and it had to be reclaimed, and a lot of artists actually also reclaimed spaces. How did you reclaim the the space where only 20% of the population was living, and it was only elderly people, if I got it correct, that stayed actually because they couldn't move out anymore.
Yes, I think the secret was the community building. We started with Almacén 42. That was after Impact Hub. Our first project was Almacén 42. That is this brewery restaurant. Monterrey also loves beer, so we say, okay, we can bring this new narrative about let's talk about beer and life. And after that, we start doing a lot of community. We are very thankful around the community that we built. And something that we have been talking about is that private sector, public sector, and civic society, NGOs, they were telling us like, oh, we want to invest in you, like to support you in growing the restaurant. And we say, no, instead of investing in us, that we already have the Impact Hub and have the restaurant, why don't you use that money and open something new? And maybe we can pass from 20% to 25% if all of you that were big corporates and it was the public sector and NGOs can make an ecosystem in this street. We started not thinking to change the whole old town, but changing just one street. One street, and we said, okay, one street at a time. And when they say like, oh, we're going to open 4 streets away, we say, no. Return a little bit and let's change the narrative of this street and let's change the architecture of this street. And so that's how we started, like with the support, the collaboration of all these communities.
So when we talk about timeline, how long ago did you start?
We started in 2013.
So it's now 10th anniversary yeah?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank
awesome.
you. Yes, this is the 10th anniversary of Impact Hub Monterrey this year.
And how are you now developing your city further? What's now your setup?
Yes, now we continue with the part of the city center. Now we have above the 80% of occupation, so we gave the complete turnaround. And now we are focusing in people that are in vulnerable situation. Mm-hmm. We have found several let's say communities that need more support and that needs to be integrated to Monterrey. And from them, it can be migrants, it can be people with disabilities, people of indigenous communities, and women. And especially mothers, like single mothers. Mm-hmm. I can say that are our 4 or 5 columns that we are working with them to make inclusion and to make them like part of the ecosystem of Monterrey. So there is a lot of work to do. Like in there, I can say that we are starting, but our focus is very bold around that areas.
So Impact Hub London and Impact Hub Munich and now Impact Hub Dresden also do a program with GoDaddy, and that's focusing on women and young mothers especially. We're gonna bring it to Leipzig at one point, but maybe we should talk about how to replicate it faster. One story about you is also that you became the chairperson of the board of Impact Hub Global. So basically, for those who don't know Impact Hub is a worldwide organization. We both, with our local Impact Hubs, we are part of the association, but you're now also my Aufsichtsratsvorsitzender, my chairperson of the board. Where do you think we should have more Impact Hubs, and do you think that we can build them together with a Machn audience that comes from everywhere and that also has some ideas about developing their old background? What does it take?
Yes, well, now after this global gathering that we had and the pipeline that we are having, we are aiming maybe to have 500 Impact Hubs. Now we are 111 Impact Hubs in 68 countries. And the scope is to have in the following maybe 5 years, 500 Impact Hubs. So this will change a lot the governance, because something that it is very important to mention, it is that we have this one Impact Hub, one vote. This means that all Impact Hubs are equally the same. It is a very direct democracy. So now we are looking to have 500 Impact Hubs, and something that we say is that an Impact Hub can fit in any city because it's community-based. So if there is a community that wants to start an Impact Hub and that wants to have a more sustainable and just world in their community, in there is like we can start. And something that, like you say, if I can say by my example, if we started with a street, each Impact Hub, if they focus to change one street of their city, of their country, or that will mean that we are changing a lot of streets in the world, and that will make a big impact around the globe. So an Impact Hub, it is just to have the intention to have courage, trust, and collaboration that are our values, and to be able like to have this courage to change the world, to have a transition of the world.
And one part of what we're doing together is also trade support, right? We help to come into a new place and to feel at home also with your company. How would you describe Monterrey as a market, coming back to where you are working, into your street? As a company, if I want to grow to the US, do I go to Mexico to enter the US? Is that useful, or what do you think?
I think that Mexico by itself, it's a very important market. Monterrey is the second biggest city in Mexico, and is the wealthiest city in Mexico. So now we are having big investments, like now we are having the Gigafactory of Tesla, the 7th one in the world, and we have like a big Heineken production. Like there is a lot. It's a industrial capital of Mexico. So we have this program that it is Monterrey Invest. So for those companies that want to scale, not just to the Mexican market, but to the Americas, including the Latin America and the US market, we see Monterrey as a very good door to start their journey to the Americas. And many companies do that. They start in Monterrey because we are just between the US market and the Latin American market, and it's a very strategic position for ventures. So they can contact Impact Hub Monterrey. Yeah. Maybe they can start with Impact Hub Leipzig, and they can have the contact with us, and we have this strategy of Monterrey Invest, and we will be very happy to support the soft landing in our city.
But you don't need any more beer companies, right?
Oh, we need.
Really?
Yes, yes, we need. Now, the consumption is very positive, and it will be like super good. There are 2 states that produce and sell more beer than Nuevo León, or that Monterrey. So to have more beer companies, it will be, and we have a big market, like you said, the American, the US market, that it is just 2 hours away in car. It is a super good market to produce.
But honestly, like what type of companies and services and products for your city and for the Mexican market, and also maybe for Latin America, where you have supported building all the other Impact Hubs in Latin America, and you're not bragging a lot, so I have to brag just for a moment, like it's 8 Impact Hubs, or how many?
In Latin America, we are now...
That you helped build with your program in Monterrey.
We are around 22 now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it has grown a lot.
So what type, because, German companies often think of the German market, or maybe DACH with Austria and Switzerland, but also of other markets. There's sometimes this, like we have to do the work here first, develop our street, our country, our market. What type of services would you be interested in and are needed, necessary? What's more demand?
Yes, there are two very specific. One it is that related with tech transfer, to bring technology to upgrade the different ventures. That it is something that it has been with a lot of track. And the other one, it is environmental movements, like circular economy. Like we will have to talk about what you are doing, but circular ventures or environmental ventures are very needed in Latin America. Like we don't have the development, but we have the market to make it happen. And the most important and sad part, we have the need. Yeah. So we have the urgent need to make it happen. So anything related with tech transfer and with